It's a good win. There's a lot of people. It's like Woodstock, except everybody's got their clothes on.
Don't eat a damn snack.
You're like my wife when you get in space. You just get lost.
It's ahead! Short steps are better than long steps. That's the only time in your life you're going to hear short is better than long. It's ahead!
Bang pow! Welcome back to 614 Headsets, the weekly show where we say football is on.
Wants to hear bang bang pow
Bang bang pow pow, man! I love that. Right?
Yeah, all right, keep going.
Couples retreat, best. Don't ruin my
Great
intro.
movie.
Couples retreat, great. Bang pow,
Yeah.
Ryan. All right. Hey, the show where we say football is unconditional love. We couldn't agree with the GOAT Tom Brady even more. We're three high school coaches from Columbus, Ohio that just eat, sleep, and breathe this game. I feel blessed. I got to be with you boys yesterday. We put on Trents Fest 24. We might even bring back a round 2 because it's such a great event. I'm excited. I got to spend all night with you guys last night doing some trench O-line, D-line 101s and again tonight. And so, boys, it's been great. It's a beautiful time of year. Besides that, how's everybody's week been?
Brother, it has been a great week. Obviously, so we did helmets this week, right? We got helmets on our kids. All our kids got fitted. We're rolling. Every kid got a helmet. And then we also came over there, had an amazing time. Great hospitality, water in a beautiful cooler, nice and cold, ready for me. I appreciate that.
I
Coach
got to
Stout,
take care of my guys.
that was a nice little pleasant surprise because I didn't bring any water for myself, which was a rookie
It always
move.
happens. It always
And
happens.
you knew it was coming. And then today, get to be back on with you guys. But also today, I took my son to a trampoline park, and we got after it. It was just me and him, and we just tore the entire trampoline park up.
My back might go out of my head.
Oh,
yeah.
dude, I told my wife when I got home, I felt like all my insides have shifted in my body at some point. I was sick.
I hate it. I would hate to get my inside shifted too, Ryan. I understand it happens to you a lot. But all right, Donnie, how's your week been, man?
Dude, it's been good. Like you guys were saying, Trench Fest was a blast last night. Getting to watch like all of our kids just compete. Probably for the first time, like outside of like a camp, like they got to do it as a unit. It was cool to watch like that look in their eyes go, and then had a little practice today. Weather didn't stop us. That was a blast. And then getting to record a great episode with you guys tonight. I think everybody's going to enjoy this one. It was good.
And to see the good and bad. Let's solidify some guys who are looking as good or better than advertised, but then opened up like, hey, here's 3 to 4 things we really got to work on in the next couple of weeks to clean things up.
Well, we left that same way. We were pleasantly surprised. We texted in the group message like, oh shoot, this group surprised us. We just had a blast with each other. Like we haven't had that group yet. You know what I mean? We had some old guys last year, which we have old guys this year too, but they were behind seniors last year. So it was really cool to see our kids compete and then just being out there with the boys, right? Cracking jokes, having a great time.
But hey, as we get started, if you're on right now, if you haven't done it yet, please pull out your phone, subscribe, download, leave a rating or a comment. Like, just take 30, 45 seconds, help us out. We would, really greatly appreciate it. It really helps us grow and continue to reach more people. And it's really about celebrating football, networking, celebrating football. If you could do that, we would really appreciate it. It's just been interesting to hear how people have found us and, slowly, whoever's in Phoenix or however the couple of you are in Phoenix downloading us, like you're our 3rd or 4th top city right now. Like kudos to you. I don't even know anybody in Phoenix. Maybe you two do.
I don't know a person.
And I don't know. We're growing in Phoenix. Maybe we're going to hit it big in that market. I don't know. But
hey, some one of them, hopefully they could fly us down one time. I would love to go to Phoenix.
For sure. But we're not just doing that for clout. We're doing it because we really believe in what we're doing and the effort we're putting behind it and trying to grow football and celebrate it. Celebrate what other people are doing it and just connecting people too along the way. So, Donovan, let everybody know what are we going to get into today, and let's get to the thought of the pod.
We got a great episode today. So last week we talked all about Redzone from the defensive side, planning, philosophy, schematics, everything you think of. And we're doing on offense this time, the good side of the ball. We got Coach Rich Holzer out of the DMV area, one of the best areas around. And he's going into a deep dive into his philosophy, his style into it, how he preps, how he gets his players ready. And it was a great episode. I think regardless of your offensive defensive guy, I think everybody's going to enjoy this one.
And he said Baltimore runs Maryland.
For sure.
Washington does not. No. Hey, let's
We're
get
gonna
into
be
the
back.
side of
We'll
the
be
pod.
all right.
I'll take it this week. I knew no one else wanted to take it just because these guys get scared of that. They don't think that
Not
much.
how it goes,
They're not
Ryan.
good thinkers.
Don't stop.
But, I'll continue on. They're not
Go
good
ahead.
thinkers. So thought of the pod is great for me because I think a lot. I'm smarter than these guys. But for me is the statement that Inky uses a ton on his podcast, and I've said it to our kids a ton, and I've started using it a lot, is that perspective drives performance, right? And for this, I try to always think about it throughout the day, right? You're going to always have things that happen. You're always going to have adversity throughout the day. It doesn't matter what it is, right? Kyle, I think you commented on it, right? You saw the coffee right in the morning.
I did see it, yeah.
Dumped all my coffee in my cup holders, right?
At least it wasn't on you.
Yeah, no, fact that you see looking at the good side of things. And that's the perspective of it, right? It's the ability to be able to shake life's daily obstacles while also staying positive and just being able to accept any of the things thrown at you. And for me, I feel like that also goes into our kids that might not want to play offense or defense. This is where it came up with a kid that I had that was like, hey, I don't really want to play offense. And I had to change his perspective on that because his performance on offense was struggling because he didn't want to play it, right? And that's the same as like a job as a coach, right? Look at your job as the best job that you have. That's the best job there is. If that's your perspective of your job and what you do, you're going to be the best at what you do then too. You're going to be the best person you can be in that spot. And I think that's just huge going into the football season this year, right? And appreciating where we are and what we get to do.
I love it. Nice work.
It's great. I love the idea about perspective, and I try to use that even in my personal life a lot. And sometimes I try to manage my expectations as a coach with perspective. Yeah, I got 7, 8, 9 kids at a camp going. I can't be like getting mad about how practice maybe did or didn't go that day. You know what I mean? Today, as always this year, I don't know what the weather gods have it in for the Hannah Lions, but every practice it has rained on us this summer. And so here I am. It's pouring down rain. Routes on air and team did not look so pretty passing the ball around today, but it's like perspective, right? And so I've had to tell myself that, and it's helped me keep a lot calmer and I guess be a better coach in relationships in the time. I was just like, whatever, I can't control that. Like I know what's causing it, but just keeping your perspective about controlling control. I think that's great. Donnie's got a little special little plug, little ad to put into, and then we're going to get this thing rolling.
Hey, listen, we got something coming out. Been working on it with a different crew that I've done with podcasting and YouTube. If you guys are interested, we all love football on the show. If you're really interested in college football, we've got a preview magazine coming out on cfbpod.com. It includes statistics, Heisman candidates, previews for each team, each conference, 40 years of college football coverage between the three of us that put it together, 5 years of coaching experience, 9 years of player personnel experience at the SEC and Power 5 level. So if you're interested in that, go to cfbpod.com. It's only $10 right now. Pre-order. It's $12 after July 1st. Go order it. It's got as much stuff as you're going to find from Athlon on those ones for like a third of the price. So if you're interested, cfbpod.com. Go find it. Promise you won't be disappointed.
I saw a little preview. I was impressed. I saw a little Lane Kiffin Ole Miss preview. I liked it.
I took care of the Big 12 in there. So the Big 12 was all mine.
Football right now is all about the game coming out. I'm sorry, Donnie.
Dude, that game's going to be sick.
I can't wait to buy it. I can't wait for it to come out. I'm pre-ordering it, getting the deluxe one so that I can play it 3 days early.
Oh, okay.
Hopefully my wife doesn't get mad about it, but I have to. Stout.
No time for games. I live in the real life. Just like Fundraising University Ohio lives in the real life, baby. Fundraising University Ohio offers a variety of fundraising efforts, helps football teams run profitable, effective, and fast-paced fundraisers designed to raise the most money in the shortest amount of time to reach their fundraising goals. Fundraising University Ohio is locally owned, operated, and with their 6-step blitz system will help your team maximize profits. Brent Maxwell, where's my page 2? There it is. With Fundraising University, will sit down and help you pick, plan, and strategize your next fundraiser. If you're interested in us running a fundraiser for you, please contact Brent Maxwell at the letter B, Maxwell at fundraising, the letter U.net, or 740-501-8946 so you can look as sweet as the New York Vikings with them pinstripe unis everybody's talking about from Trench Fest. Hey, check out
Those
Brent.
bad boys came out better than what I thought.
They
though.
did.
I
Check
ain't
out
gonna
Brent.
lie.
Check out Fundraising University, a fantastic company that'll help you achieve your goals and maybe even surpass what you could ever thought you could do or have done in the past. And everybody enjoy our part 2 of Winning in the Red Zone. Welcome back. It's our second week of diving into the red zone, or a little red zone palooza, as we said. I'm excited. Enough of that defense. It's time to talk about some offense, even though last week's episode was great. I got to tell you, I really enjoyed listening to Coach Wilson talk about his universals and a lot of different things. And even as an offensive coach, it really got me thinking, and I learned a lot from it too. So if you haven't checked out Winning the Red Zone on defense from last week, you really have to. And this week, what we're getting into is Winning the Red Zone offense. And joining us today is Coach Rich Holzer. He's the head football coach at Northern High School, the Patriots, out of Owings, Maryland. Coach, how you doing today, man?
I'm good. Thanks for having me on, guys.
I appreciate it. Little small fact, these guys don't know this, but Coach Holzer's the first and only person to email us to want to come on the show, right? Most guys text us or DM us, and I felt bad because here I don't really check the business email that much. At least I did it at the start, and I hopped on. I'm like, oh, my bad, brother. I don't check it that much. And so he said he was going to come on. Let me know if you guys ever need some gas. So I think Coach is ready to bring it tonight. I think he said a little fun fact. He's the only guy to ever win both a state championship, private and public, in Maryland. Is that what you said, Coach?
Yeah, that's what I was told by the state historian. I didn't know, but then we got a guy that actually keeps track of everything. He's got stats going back to the 1800s. It's crazy.
That's awesome, man.
It's pretty cool.
Coach, we're excited to have you on. We talked a little bit. Why don't you go ahead and just fill us in a little bit about, we know where you're at now. Tell us about your football journey, your football life.
Yeah, I'm the son of a coach. So I spent, like my sons right now, I spent since I was 5 running around the locker room in a football field. My dad played, so my grandfather played football for a little while. Then my dad played at Penn State. And my dad, I knew you were a Penn State guy. My whole family did. We had family that played at Virginia Tech, Alabama, Albany. I played at Hofstra, Naval Academy. So it's a big football family. And I got into coaching like my dad because I was drawing plays from the time I was little. And from there, I went on to play at Hofstra for some of the guys my dad was friends with, like Coach Gigantino and Joe Gardy, my dad was an area scout for when he was with the Jets. And their thing was like, come to Hofstra and you'll play right away. And I was like, all right, that sounds good to me. So I went there and was a 3-year starter. And I think had a good career there. And then went and came back after I tried to make a career out of football and was a GA and hung around for a little bit, coaching offensive line and strength coach. And I was lucky. I was around a lot of great coaches then. It was like Dan Quinn was just starting his career, Kyle Flood, Warren Ruggiero, Dave Brock, Joe Woods, all these guys that are like major Division I or NFL coaches now. They were just cutting their teeth at the FCS level when I was there. I spent 5 years in an O-line room with Coach Flood and learned a ton. So it was good. From there, I stayed as a GA. Wasn't how you are when you're 23 years old and you're not making full-time money. You're getting a little salty, living in a house with 6 other GAs, and I'm bouncing at night to make some spending money. So I went down and coached high school football with my dad. I went down to Maryland. I just put resumes out wherever I had family, Maryland, Georgia, Texas, obviously New York, where I grew up, and got offered a job in Southern Maryland with this guy, Dom Zaccarelli, who's in the Hall of Fame in Maryland now. He passed away, but he was a great guy. I learned a lot from him about running a high school program. Specifically, he was really good at recruiting and fundraising. Like I've never seen a guy that could fundraise in high school football like him. It was unbelievable. The amount of stuff that we got was unreal. So I learned a lot from him, and then took my first head coaching job at an inner city school, Parkdale High School near DC, it was fun. I walked in, and it's a 4A school with 2,200 kids, and there was 21 kids signed up for football and no footballs. That was a challenge. We got them from Owings. Yeah, we got them up to a playoff caliber team. And then a friend of mine offered me the job on post at Fort Meade High School, closer to where I was living at the time. And I took that job with him. He was the athletic director, so I took the head coaching job. And we did well. We went to a couple state semifinals and won a couple regional championships. And then I still had that bug to go back to college potentially. So the big private school in Baltimore, Mount St. Joseph, or one of them, opened up. And I went to a Zavarian Brothers school, just like Mount St. Joseph, but in New York. So I applied, got the job. And we had a good run there. We won a title there. I coached some really good kids. There's still some kids playing right now. I'm not going to lie, back then we had some good players like Marlo Wax, who's at Syracuse, he's the middle linebacker. Dante Thornton, who's a receiver at Tennessee. So we had some dudes running around. It was the rat race. If you're not from the DMV, you don't know how private school football is. You go to a youth football game on the sideline and you see every color you could think of, because every single private school has a recruiter out there watching these youth league games. And they're recruiting just like colleges do, only some guys have scholarship money and some don't. And St. Joe, we didn't have money. So I was out there convincing kids to play for me and pay full tuition like a Division III school. So we moved further south we wanted to spread out. We got a couple acres. My boys are getting older. They're starting to play sports. And I couldn't keep that same pace of getting home at 10 o'clock at night, 4 nights a week, because I'm on a youth football field recruiting. So I took the local high school opened up, and a friend of mine, Steve Crounce, had left and had already gotten the program on solid footing. So really it was coming in and just building on what he already had. And he left me his son as our starting quarterback. So you know how coaches' sons are, they're quarterbacks. He's a pretty smart kid.
They're pretty good.
Yeah, he was very good. He threw for 3,800 yards and he won us a state title. Did a good job there. And from there, I've just been, this will be year 5. I'm in the community. I'm coaching the 12U Dunkirk Warriors football team for my oldest son. I coached the Southern Maryland Wolfpack wrestling team. I helped their head coach Gabrielson out, who was a Division I wrestler. And then I'm helping out. And then I take a break during lacrosse season and let them do their thing. But I figured I'm so involved with the community. This is a great opportunity to get in and be a part of the high school where my kids will probably go to school and be the coach there and have a similar experience, because it's a very similar community to what I grew up in. So they're getting the same experience I had growing up, which was I had a blast growing up. They're having fun. They're out there running around on the football field, throwing bags at my quarterback when they're not supposed to. I'm like, guys, do not trip him. So it's a cool little town down here. And we got about 1,500 kids in the school, and the kids are all bought in. They love football. I felt bad. We had my sons had club lacrosse practice, and I was running a youth football camp, and half the lacrosse team skipped lacrosse practice to come to the football camp. So they love football.
You do.
So that's my background, where I grew up. My sister just jokes around and calls it the family business.
Sounds like it. What year? So next year is going to start. What year of coaching for you?
Shoot, oh man, 2000. So the first year my first actual head coaching job was you have to do your student teaching. I got stuck with one of my dad's buddies, and he said in order to get an A in student teaching, I had to coach the offensive line. So
sounds like a good deal to me.
Yeah, it was awesome. So 2002 was my first year as a student teacher coaching the offensive line at Horace Greeley High School in Chappaqua, New York. So
I'd ask, because Coach looks youthly. Like he's got that Clooney effect a little bit. You know what I mean?
Oh, man.
Coach,
Yeah.
I love it. I can't wait to dive in more. I feel like in just the 10, 15 minutes we've talked, even a little bit before, I've learned so much more about Maryland football now than I ever knew. And I can't wait for other people to hear about it too. So let's get to know Coach a little bit more in the Pick Six segment, Ryan.
This is the best segment of them all. The Pick Six segment is powered by Story Rivals. Sports, media, championships, friendships, and life lessons are among the most meaningful part of the athletic competition. They are passionate about preserving them by offering the most unique highlight experience available.
That's right. Story Rivals delivers your team's content with services designed to change the way you experience these unforgettable moments now and for a lifetime. Story Rivals now offers a complete team apparel and player shop customizable to your program. Contact them by email at info@storyrivals.com. Schedule a member of their team. Aaron, Story Rivals, rest of you guys, we appreciate you guys coming to Trench Fest, right? Checking out what we put together. We just appreciate you coming out to that. So, Ryan, first question to get to know this man a little bit more. What you got?
Coach, for you, I wanted to ask this question. I was talking about this in summer school with some of these kids the other day. Would you rather never, ever speak again or never be able to read again?
Oh, man. Holy cow. Jesus, that's a good one to start with. I would say I would rather not be able to speak again because I figure I can always sign, but I feel like if I can't read, I can't learn. And that's, I don't know. I got one of those brains that's I'm always like, I don't know how you guys are, but even I'm out with my tractor, like getting a yard cut and something breaks on it. I've never fixed it before. And I'm like, next thing I'm reading manuals and all this stuff. And I just feel like I wouldn't be able to do any of that stuff. I enjoy it. So it's funny. Some people go fishing. I go read stuff, take things apart and put them back together. So
I'd be in trouble. I wouldn't drive anywhere. If I couldn't read, I'd be in big trouble.
Coach, here's my first question. So you're in the DMV area. Don't know how much you get to go to DC, but what's your favorite place to go to if you're going down to DC? Like, you got a favorite monument to go to, favorite spot, favorite part of town?
yeah, we were down there recently for my son's fifth grade. He graduated fifth grade, and he like watches Hell's Kitchen all the time with Gordon Ramsay. So he took him to Hell's Kitchen, which I had to take out like a half a mortgage to pay for the dinner. It was awesome. But no, we love going down to, we like going to the war monuments. I've got a lot of military in the family, like my grandfather in World War II. My wife's family's on Naval Academy. My cousin Scott is a lieutenant colonel. It was infantry during Iraq and everything like that. And coaching up at Meade, I got friendly with so many guys that are active military. Like, it was cool. I got to meet some guys that did some pretty impressive stuff. And so one thing that always stuck with me was after that was I always loved going, seeing the monuments. And my dad was into the Civil War. I was into the Civil War a little bit, but I'm more into World War II. Like I think I've watched Band of Brothers probably 7 times. So I love going to the war monuments, and we volunteer to go clean them sometimes with my wife's company. Like it's a funny story. I got my oldest was like, I think he was 5, and we're down there, and my wife's father's mentor at the academy, Admiral Tom Lynch, who was Staubach Center, is like giving the speech like about the Vietnam War and the memorial, and we're all sitting there listening because it's Admiral Lynch, whatever. And then my son raises his hand in the middle of the speech and he goes, "Are you going to stop talking so we can wash the wall already?" And the whole place just erupted laughing. So, I mean, he just looked at religious because I guess we're washing the wall. So
And you can't even get mad at kids that they have no filter. It's so great. It's not your kids. Just like, oh, that's fine. You know what I mean?
I was just thinking about all the guys that he's probably commanded over the years that wanted to interrupt him and say, "Just can we get on with it?" So
I'm with you, man. I love that World War II memorial. That's probably one of my
awesome.
favorites down there too. So, Coach, you had an opportunity to tell us, and most of our listeners are around here and some other places. We've picked up a few from North Carolina and Tennessee and others. But you're our first person from Maryland, and probably a lot of people listening don't know a lot about Maryland football. And maybe tell us something that's maybe unique or special about Maryland football that outsiders aren't going to know.
Yeah, Maryland football, the people that are involved with the football community here, the whole Wedding Crashers things, crab cakes and football, it is. There's like pockets of Maryland where football is taken very seriously. You go out to Western Maryland and it's like religion out there, just like it is. And probably you guys are in Ohio. Our county is a separate, like we're a smaller county, but it's Friday Night Lights here. We're getting a couple thousand people at every home game. That year we went to the state title. School had never been to the state championship before. So they had the whole song and dance out in front of the school. And I was like, oh, it's cool for the kids. The people in the county, we had ambulances, we had state troopers, the sheriffs and the state troopers are arguing over who got to lead the escort out of the county. And then the whole road, it's called Solomon's Island Road. It goes right through our county north-south, and we have to take that to get to Annapolis to play the championship game. And they were lined all the way, the entire 10-mile stretch out of the county from our high school. And then we win, and I'm like, this is great. Everyone's obviously riding high. And I'm like, it's 12:30 at night. We're going to pull back in school. We're going to get everything thrown in the school, and then I'll deal with it the next Monday. And as we get into the county, the state troopers are waiting to pick us up, the ambulance corps, everybody. People are lining the sideline with new signs saying, congratulations. There's lights, there's streamers going. It was crazy. The people love it. So Maryland gets a lacrosse state vibe, and lacrosse is big here. But the people, there's a lot of pockets of Maryland that are very passionate about football. Now, the other big thing is that it's a big, obviously, we got a lot of the Naval Academy around. We got University of Maryland, we got Towson. So we do have a lot of like sports teams or football teams, I should say, that have a very passionate fan base. You go to Baltimore and you're a Commanders fan, it's not going well. So, and vice versa. You go down to Northern Virginia and you're like, people are like, are you
I love that he called them the Commanders.
Donnie's such a Commanders fan.
Don't know who that is.
He's going to get a Commanders tattoo here soon.
I'm looking at this sick little banner that I got for as a wedding gift. It's sitting in my chair right now. I'm gonna hang
Just
up right behind me.
newsflash, Donovan's such a Washington fan, he won't say Commanders. He's a diehard. He's dying on the hill that they're still the Redskins.
He's not the only one. My brother-in-law's family, it's their Washington football team, Washington Redskins, whatever. They will not say Commanders, and they're like diehard. Yeah.
Coach, my next one. This is probably one of my favorite questions that I've came up with.
Has me laughing.
Because it always happens. You always have one thing or a couple. I have a lot of things that my players do, but what's one thing that you know that your players make fun of you about?
Oh, I know 100%, because every year for Halloween, they all think they're being unique, but they all repeat it. It's every year they come dressed up with a backwards hat, Costa sunglasses. Back when I'm in my 30s and 20s, I had the cutoff shirt, the cutoff sleeves. So they'd have the cutoff sleeves. They'd have a whistle around their neck. They'd be wearing flip-flops and gym shorts, and they'd have a clipboard. And then they'd be walking around school. And they kept multiple clipboards, because when they wanted to really emphasize who they were, in case anybody didn't know, they would take the clipboard, break it over their knee and throw it on the ground, or they'd break it over their head and throw it on the ground.
If you're a clipboard guy, you always bring more than one. When I coached basketball, there was always a spare clipboard, because you were going to break one at halftime every now and then to prove a point. I'm with you.
I thought they were going to get me in trouble one time. We're having our end of the year banquet, and the kids that meet on the military post, we had our assistant superintendent was there, and all of a sudden they go, "Hey coach, we got something, stay seated." And I'm like watching. And next thing you know, Kevin Johnson, our right tackle, comes in dressed like me with the clipboard. And I go, "Oh my God, I know where this is going. Don't drop any F-bombs or something like that." Next thing, he breaks the clipboard over his head, throws it, and he starts yelling and all this stuff. And I'm just like, "Oh my God, I hope I don't get fired today." So
Superintendent walks into the locker room. I'm not in the locker room. I'm not even going to put myself in that situation.
No.
We always do a thing like during football, like camp time, right before the season starts, where our kids get to imitate all our coaches.
That's awesome.
Like their position groups get to imitate their coaches and set up a skit for after practice, which is cool that we do. And those are funny. So I know a couple of things that they make. And you hear them sometimes. You can hear your players in the back like mocking you, like saying things that the one thing that made me laugh the other day is because before every drill I say ready, and I don't know why or where it came from, but I always before I blow my whistle for everything, I'm just like, all right, ready, and then I'll do whatever. And so a couple of our kids were like, "Hey coach, are we getting sized for helmets ready?"
They got a thing. Some of the kids that graduated that played for me got a little thing on Facebook. There's 2 or 3 St. Joe kids that every year they had like a fat head of me one game, and somebody snapped a shot of it with their phone. And every year, when that timeline pops up, all the St. Joe kids that are on my Facebook page are like, "Hey, it's Coach Holzer." And they're like the Meade kids. It's the same thing. They had a video of me doing the Marine Combat Fitness course back when I was like 32 at the time. So I was in really good shape. I was running with my cousin because he was stationed at Meade. So I'm running with him with rucksacks on and stuff. I was in good shape. My wife reminds me of that a lot. She's like, my youngest one pats my belly and goes, "Yeah, mom's right. You need to lose some weight."
You're allowed to be comfortable now. A couple kids got you trapped. You ain't going anywhere. You're good. Get comfortable, man.
But every year they post that video. I'm like, all right, thanks, guys. Appreciate it.
Instead of having me pay for a banner, you should have had me pay for a massive fat head of you, man.
Sick.
Like that would have been a way sweeter form of advertisement than buying a banner.
I think a better thing would be actually if I got a picture of me at your guys' field and then a picture of you. I got a fat heads of you guys.
Like, who's this random dudes? Nobody says anything. Donovan, what's your next one?
All right, here's my next question, Coach. You alluded to it a little bit, but despite the Redskins being dormant the past 30 years, who's got the bigger fan base as you go around just in the DMV area? I know you said it depends on the area, but between Ravens and Redskins, you go through, who are you more likely to walk into?
I really hate to say it for you. It's the Ravens.
Oh,
they say it's one of the craziest. They say it's one of the rowdiest places to play.
We're just quiet right now.
Dude, you know that, Donnie. Why are you asking a question?
Baltimore is rowdy.
There's
Baltimore
friends.
Yeah, Baltimore is a different vibe. Baltimore is. I don't want to say it's a weird city. It's cool in a way because like you go up there and nobody in the city of Baltimore goes, "Where'd you go to college?" They all go, "Where'd you go to high school?" I'm not kidding. It's like you went to Calvert Hall, you went to St. Joe, you went to Poly, you went to City. that they don't care. You're like, oh, I went to University of Maryland. They're like, where'd you go to high school? Calvert Hall. Oh, I went to Loyola. Like, they really don't care. It's all about, it's a different spot. Like, they care about their local stuff there. It's pretty intense, like the Orioles and all that stuff.
Donnie,
Coach,
you got to
last
not
question.
ask questions that you don't want the answer to. You knew it was going to be the Ravens.
Because if you go to DC, Coach, you correct me if I'm wrong, but like every time I've been to DC, I don't see a ton of Ravens gear. I see a lot of like Redskins, the new gear, stuff like that.
You're in Washington, D.C. where they're
Correct.
It's like saying you go to Cleveland and everybody's wearing Cleveland Brown stuff.
Correct.
That's like
Stop.
saying, oh, do you see more
Stop.
Cincinnati and Cleveland? No,
All right.
you don't.
Last question, Coach. What's something you're experimenting with this summer offensively? I love this time because I play around, and I might even do stuff now that never quite makes it in, or it might make it in later in life.
Yep.
But what's maybe one thing you're chewing on and experiment with offensively?
Since you said not a lot of Maryland guys listen to this, I'll tell you, because this is like a big thing for us right now. So we're going wide splits on the O-line. We're going.
Okay, you're going super wide. That's what you're probably talking about.
3, 4, 5, 6, 7 foot splits. Yep. We're gonna see how this goes.
Now, when you say that,
3 to 7 is a big difference. So what you said 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Where are you going to be at in that?
Basically, I told them the average split for the guard, we want 3 to 4 feet, tackles 3 to 5 feet. But I said, if you can over split, I told them, like, if we're running inside zone and you're the left tackle and we're going inside zone left, and the kid will go with you 7 feet, just take them there. So
how much do you guys, and where you're at, are you seeing a lot more even fronts or odd fronts, or is it mixed? What do you see a lot?
We're still I think we charted it when we do our game planning, so we know going in each week. And the coaching staffs are pretty stable around here. I think it's almost 50-50. Yeah, even and odd.
It's interesting to see. So let's get into it, man. We're starting to talk X's and O's. Let's get into this main part. These run and shoot guys, man, they're a cult. Let's get into it.
All right. We are getting into this. Like we said, we did defense last week, but getting all into winning the red zone situationally, looking at how you game plan it, the philosophies with it, some strategies, maybe some mistakes, but getting all deep into that. And the main topic of today's show is powered by First Down Playbook. First Down Playbook is the nation's leading playbook and play design software. With over 35,000 professionally drawn, editable team plays with notes and full playbooks to start from, you'll be on your way to getting an edge over the competition. First Down Playbook can be your entire team management system with practice schedules, scripts, custom quarterback wristbands, and more. If you use the code HEADSETS24, or if you mention our show, you'll receive $100 off the already most affordable option in today's game. If you're looking for that link or anything or any more details, look at our show notes on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, YouTube. You'll find everything you need to there.
No doubt. It's been great. I'm enjoying using it. It's so smooth. I love the different colors and different things, because when you start drawing, everything's all black. It just gets so muddy. It's been a treat to see some of the differences and some of the things they do. And I just love how you can align your whole community. So, Coach, let's take a moment here. Why don't you go ahead, and Coach is going to pull up a couple ideas to get us started. Like last week, we're going to get into a little bit of a clinic style. He's going to talk about some particulars, and then we're going to dive in and maybe a lot of the same questions that we did last week, but from more of the flip side. So
sure.
Yeah, Coach, if you just open up your tab and then you click present.
Got it.
And then you'll click on the tab that you want to present. It'll be weird. You won't see yourself, but we'll see you. Diamond, you got that layout? It's a new studio now. Is it a different layout or no?
I got to find on here. Let's see. Nope. It worked right away.
Perfect. There we go, Coach. We see it, man. We're good. We got it. Maybe just go to there you go. Yep. You're good.
All right, cool. So when we're game planning, like, subscribe to the philosophy, because like you mentioned, we're a run and shoot influence team. Every time you listen to a podcast or like a clinic video or anything like that with the shoot guys, or even I've heard the air raid guys say this too. I've heard Hal Mummy say this multiple times, is don't chase ghosts. So we subscribe to that philosophy. So what we do is, first thing we do is we're very careful about picking film, because many teams down here, we still see wing T, we still see the Navy triple option, things like that. We will see some spread too, but we don't see any shoot teams. Most teams are spreading you out to run the ball. So we're very careful about what films we pick. we do a lot with our book. Our book is how the team played us the previous year. So we're going to go ahead and we're going to create a book in the offseason on every single defensive coach that we go against. I want to know what his philosophy is. I want to know his personality. I want to know when everyone knows those defensive guys, when you get close to the end zone, everything kind of puckers up a little bit and the defense changes. So where is that line where they change? We want to know, like, sometimes guys have tendency on blitz guys and things like that. In particular, teams play us very different. There's one team around here, our crosstown rival, Huntingtown High School, who's very well coached, and they do some very awkward things to us that are break tendencies within. It looks like it's going to be 2-man, and it shifts to a traditional old school cover 2, things like that. So we go heavy on our book on the other team. We try to chart when they blitzed us, when they didn't, what coverages they're running, and then obviously how they're playing our different sets, 2x2, 3x1 empty. We're also going to look at which guys tend to blitz. We found that some guys in high school have a tendency on sending certain guys. So we try to find that out as well. We will try to find 2 to 3 relevant games. And I'll even go back to the previous season to find teams that might play a similar style football to us. I'm lucky because I have some other friends in the area that do some similar stuff to us. Broadneck High School up in Annapolis, my friend Rob up there, they run an air raid type system. So they're not run and shoot, but they're spreading teams out and throwing the ball. And we've been tight for a while, so we'll trade game films when we can.
Just a quick question. How does the trade work in Maryland? What are your rules with trading film?
It's like a gentleman's agreement. You're supposed to do the most recent 2 games. Most of the guys in Maryland are pretty good guys. I wouldn't say most. I'd say 99% of the guys in Maryland. I'm not going to say 100 because there's always that one time you say 100% and then somebody does something. But I haven't run into a situation where I'm about to trade film and I'm like, hey, I don't want your most recent 2 games. And they're like, no. We're all like, yeah, sure. Do you mind if you don't give me the two most recent? Can I have these 2? I'm like, yeah, sure, no problem.
Okay.
So I think because Maryland's such a small state, everyone knows each other and we see each other all the time. So nobody wants to be that guy.
Yeah, our league does everything now. So once we hit league play, you trade the whole year.
Yep.
And I think that's because everybody realized everybody was just getting your tapes anyways. So they just said, you're just going to trade it all. But what's interesting is, like, some guys will be like, I don't want all your tapes. Let's just do the last 3. It's just interesting to see how other teams do it. So that's all I wanted to know.
No, our actual league does that. We have the league pool where you can pull any game you want.
Okay.
When we go to the playoffs, that's when you have to call up and talk to the other coach and be like, what are we doing here?
Yeah, same for us.
Yeah. And the other thing I picked up is we don't watch the whole game. We'll watch the first half, especially if the game gets out of control. The theory behind that is, obviously, if the game's out of control, they're playing different kids and stuff like that. But if you're seeing in the second half, my philosophy has always been, and I learned this from other coaches who are smarter than me, is that when you get to the second half, teams are making adjustments at halftime. So what you're seeing from that defense at that point is adjustments specifically to what's going on in the field in that situation. And it may not necessarily translate to the next game for you. So we very rarely watch a second half of a game. If we do, we usually just do it quickly just to see if they do something crazy that we're not ready for. Because we have had teams go, not recently, but in the past, that were a 4 front and then they come out in a 3 front in the second half or something like that. And then we're going to focus on similar formations. So we start with formations. We want to see how they line up. I'm sure this is how everyone does it, or a lot of people do it. We're going to see how they line up in similar sets, motions, shifts. This is funny because I always wonder if this is going to get me kicked out of the run and shoot group. Is we want to see how they defend extra gaps and unbalanced. We use tight ends. I was a lineman, so we do run the ball, and we will unbalance the tackles and things like that just to mess with people. Personnel. One thing I picked up was I got lucky. Greg Roman's son played for me, one of my previous coaching spots. And when I was talking with him one time, we talked a lot about the NFL game and matchups and things like that. So that was something that stuck with me. So ever since then, about 2018, I think it was, we focus a lot on matchups as well now. And then I just want to know what their top 3 coverages are in each set. Most of them carry over. If they're playing cover 2 against 10 personnel 2x2, they're probably playing cover 2 against 11 personnel 2x2. So we're going to focus on their top 3 coverages from each set and what are their top 3 stunts and pressures overall. We try not to get too in the weeds with that because I don't want to overload the kids with too much information because I find that slows them down. But this is just an example of like our cover sheet. And then personnel wise, we don't get too much into the personnel. We'll give them heights and weights and just how they're, what type of front they are, things like that. We'll take screenshots like this. This is how we do our scouting report is we'll actually do screenshots, and instead of drawing circles and X's and stuff like that, I'll just screenshot it and insert it into a PowerPoint for the kids. And I try to get tight shots as well for the linemen. So this is an example of, we try to find similar formations, and we try to, any formation we could possibly run that week, we try to go ahead and see if we can find them lining up to that formation and give it to them. And then we'll draw up their primary coverages, just in general, how they're going to play it to 2x2, 3x1, and then 3x2. And then, like I said, we'll draw up a couple of their basic pressures that they like, just so the kids have an idea of what they're looking at in practice. And this is also helps our scout defensive coaches, because it gives them their scout card, it gives them their information to draw their scout cards for the week. We'll do this. We did a little bit more on these guys because they were bothering me with some pressures and stuff like that. And then I actually game plan the way air raid guys do. I like how they do it. I think it's really simple and streamlined. So I won't go too in depth on this, because I think Hal Mummy has done so many videos on this, and all the other air raid guys on how they game plan, that you can probably learn from them. And that's who I learned from. But we work whole part whole. So we're going to plan the field according to the zones, and we think of it as a car design. That's how I tell the JV coaches when they first come on board about how we're creating our game plan for the week. The good thing about our game plan is it doesn't change much. Subscribing to that don't chase ghost theory. The only thing that really changes consistently is our 12-play open field script, our red zone, our short yardage, our goal line, things like that. We may change a motion or a shift, but in general, the plays are the plays in those areas.
Coach, like when you talk about that start as a whole, because everybody has a different process, and it's interesting. Like last week, we heard Coach Wilson talk. He goes straight to red zone. That's one of the first things he does. And I've listened to a lot of air raid guys too. And when you say start with the whole, are you starting with your normal down and distance plan? Because that's the bulk of like really what you're carrying over, and then you're going to get into some of those specifics. Like I know a lot of guys will just carry over coming out, some other things. The bulk for them is everybody focuses on third down, but your normal down and distance is 60-70% of the game, something like that.
Yep. Yeah. So that's what we do. We start out with a list on the board. So one thing we do, I can't remember who I stole this from, but we have in our coach's room, which is just a trailer outside and back of the school. It's an old portable classroom that nobody wanted, so we took it over. But I got those dry erase boards that you can roll on, the magnetic ones, and we got them all over the walls in there. And as training camp goes, we come in after training camp, and my assistant coach, as we go through the plays during team and training camp, anything we like, one of the coaches just yells green and we green it. And that goes on the dry erase boards. And then, so we use that to help us build our game plan each week. We go through all those plays in training camp that we loved, and can we use this week? Will this help us? Whatever. But the big thing, like you said, is we're going to hit the open field, because that's what changes for us week to week. When we get inside the red zone, I want to run our best stuff. Or not necessarily our best stuff, but our stuff that our kids are the most comfortable with. And we see that even like right now in 7-on-7. Like 2 weeks ago, we ran mesh to the left with everyone bunched but our X receiver, and our X receiver came in short motion, and then we snapped it and ran mesh. And then last week we changed it and we motioned the Z receiver in and just ran it to the right. It was the same play, just to the right. That's what we'll do. We do have some special sets we get into on the goal line down here. Like last year, we ran a set we called Big Boys, and we took every single skill player off the field except for our fullback and went into a double wing formation and just mashed it right down people's throat. So we'll have that, but we carried big boys was big boys every single week. If we called big boys, we were running this. If we called big boys extra, we ran this. If we called big boys loaded, we ran this. There was no hand signals, no nothing. I just started screaming, big boys loaded, and we went out and ran it. So we do have some of that going on in the goal line, but for the most part, our green zone, our ducks throw is our ducks throw. We love it. I'm sorry, that's in the red zone. We love our ducks. It never changes. It's just a matter of, are we going to motion to it? Are we going to shift to it? Are we just going to line up and run it? So that's the tinkering we do in the red and orange zone. The open field script is where we'll switch some things. We try to give for balance, we try to give a good mix of not worrying about run or pass, but worrying about everybody touching the ball. Like our Z receiver is our best player. He's an outstanding football player. I want to make sure that he has 3 touches in that opening 12 play script. Like our running back last year was really good. So I want to make sure that he has 3 touches and things like that. That's how we script the open field, is more so of trying to make the defense uncomfortable with formations or shifts within our base package, or trying to get a specific player the ball in the open field. So that's how we do it. So really what we do is, for that car method, is like we take our runs don't change. We got 4 runs, but we'll take choice special. Do we need choice special this week? No. Okay, cool. It's out. We're not even going to, when it comes up in the game plan, it's not even in our thought process. We like choice switch instead. Cool. So choice switch is in. We don't know where it's in yet, but that we like. So that's what I mean by the car method. That whole method is we're going to take the whole offense in general in that open field section and just be like, we like this concept. Now let's figure out how do we formation it. So that's how we game plan that. And this is similar to the air raid guys. Like we have 3 to 4 coming off plays that don't change. Like our play on the 1 yard line has been the same play since 2008. And our kids know it. Like you even hear our stands. Like when we're on the 1 yard line, everyone starts screaming, "Run the play." And that's what it's called. It's just called the play. So our kids all just yell it. They know it's there. The yellow zone, we have a similar philosophy to the air raid guys. Quick screens, quick game, shallow crossers, sprint outs, and runs. We get about 3 to 5 plays there that don't change. Then we go in the open field script. I talked about that already. Orange zone. We broke it down high and low red zone. People call it sometimes. I just call it orange and red. So we'll have 4 to 5 plays here. Basically, what I want to do in here is we want to have plays that'll get us 5 yards, but I also want to have one play in there, maybe 2 that can get us all 20. Because we know, like offensive play callers, especially passing game guys, it gets real tight in that red zone throwing the ball, and those windows get a lot smaller. So we try to, like, if we can, try to get all 20 in one shot. But really our focus is on getting 5 yards.
Terrible, because right now in 7-on-7, if I'm on the 5 yard line, I just want to grab the ball and just punt it. Like, I'm done. I'm done. Like, give us a couple points, or let's split the points. I'm done.
Yeah. How about the guys that we saw this one year where the quarterback went under center, and one guy ran to the front of the goal line. He literally took the snap, took 1 step back, and shovel passed it to him. And I'm like,
interesting for us. Like we used to see a lot of man down in there, and now everybody's screw it 7-on-7. We're just going to fill every zone and just fill all these things. It's been an interesting switch this year, I've noticed.
No, we're seeing that too. Like we got that Reps VR system, and I was actually building a playlist today, and the team that we were playing, I was like, we're on the 2 yard line. They've got too high. Like they've got 2 dudes standing in the back of the end zone. Yeah. I'm like, what the hell is that? I haven't seen that in I don't know, forever.
Yeah, it's taking away, like right now, and they're just taking away every zone.
Yeah. It was weird. I wasn't ready for that one.
Let's bring you back. Let's bring you back. I've done this before. It's weird when you're just staring at a blank screen and you can't see everybody.
Absolutely. Yeah,
nobody likes that. So, Coach, getting into the red zone, I love this. You've coached for a long time. Donovan hasn't, but some of us are getting up there. I'm the resident old guy, but
it is literally from the dinosaur times.
Yeah.
Well, what year is that?
It's a running joke on the show. Like, I'm starting year like 13, 14 of coaching. But what's 42. The biggest mistake, maybe you see other coaches make in the red zone, or maybe you had to learn throughout the years?
Yeah, I think I overthink things. Just my brain, I'm always thinking of, how offensive guys are. We go, especially now at Twitter. Jesus, that's the worst thing in the world. Is like you go on there.
It's a blessing and a curse.
Oh my God. I go on there and me and my offensive coaches are texting each other. Did you see this? And it's like a Twitter thing. And it's, should we do this? And I'm like, yes. And then I'm like, no, stop. So I think it's overthinking things. I think that's why I took that phrase from Coach Jones when he did this like similar podcast, and on Coach Mackey's thing, he said, "Don't chase ghosts." And I actually put it in a plaque above my desk at home because I'm sitting here and I'm coming up with stuff. And like my wife walks by and she's, "I thought you weren't going to change a lot." And I was like, I wasn't going to. And then I dial it back in. I think that's what ends up happening is you start looking at defenses and you start anticipating and thinking about what they're going to do. And then you get on the field and they're doing something completely different, at least for us. And then everything you practice this one adjustment 8 times, which took away from you practicing like for us, go route. And when we get to the 10-yard line, I like go route personally. If all of a sudden we're practicing go flag, which is basically flood, the run shoot version of flood. All of a sudden we're practicing flood with a different motion in it or whatever. And all of a sudden they're covering it. They're not in the coverage we thought they were. And we just spent 8, 9, 10 reps each day practicing go flag with the specific motion. And it's for nothing. Like it doesn't work. So then we have to go back to running regular old go route and hitting the up read in the hole. It's like, just practice our base stuff, get good at it. And the good thing about the shoot is it's like, in theory, it's open against everything. Like we run go route, it should be open against every single thing you can throw at us. So if we do our job, we shouldn't need tags. We shouldn't need new plays.
Coach, how do you go about in terms of practice? How do you go about, because there's a mentality shift, right, for defense and offense when you get in the red zone for players and coaches. But how do you go about like your daily practice in terms of preparing the players for red zone, that kind of mentality shift of we're here to score, like this is all or nothing here, without overwhelming them or overhyping? Like you don't want high school kids to be so locked in that their adrenaline going too much and it throws their game off. How do you go about that?
The best thing that ever happened to me was when my son started. My wife laughs at me, but when my son started wrestling, and I got back into it, and
did you just say wrestling? Coach?
Wrestling.
I heard a little wrestling in there.
Yeah, we're going off the top rope.
All right.
So it's funny because like they started doing this mindset training with with wrestling mindset, and we started using it for the football team because they train football teams too. We've been doing it for the last 3 years. But one thing that they were always talking about was like at a match, don't make any match more important than the other, because then you psych yourself out, you freeze, you have bad performances. And I was like, and it's like what you just said, is we practice red zone, but we don't make a big thing about it. Like I used to yell, I'd be like, all right, it's red zone, let's go. And like, I'd get the number one. When I was at St. Joe, we were able to have a platoon offense and a defense. And I'd be like, it's red zone period, let's go. And we put ones versus ones and make a big deal about yell and scream. The offense and defensive coaches are yelling at each other. My D-line coach is calling holding every play on us. And I'm yelling at him, throwing the flag back at him. Just trying to make it fun for the kids, but making a huge emphasis on it. Now I'm like, it's red zone, we got to score.
It's interesting because like I've been diving into some of the Parker Resources podcast stuff, and he's basically for the last couple of months, it's just been all situation. I think he took 100 situations in football and doubled up some of them too. And I listened to one on Red Zone. It was an offensive one, and he talked about nobody needs to be a superhuman. We just need your superpowers, right? Nobody has to try to do above or beyond what you need to do. And basically, we just need you to do your job and be great at what you're doing in that field of the play, right? Exactly. I thought that was a really cool thing. It just don't need any superheroes, just need your superpowers. Do what you need to do in that time. And I thought that was super cool. So when do you practice red zone, Coach, with your players? Is it early? Is it late in the week? I like to hear how other coaches structure their offensive practice schedule. When's that happen?
So Monday for us is like a review, or an overview, I should say, not a review, an overview of the game plan. So it's a little bit of everything. Tuesday is when we get into red zone and goal line. And then Wednesday is third downs. That's what we do.
What do you guys do film-wise then with your kids for red zone? Do you guys like break up, make cut-ups for them and everything for film as well?
Yeah, we make cut-ups for them. I try to keep it to a hot clip, I call it. It's 8 to 12 quick clips that they can watch inside of 5 minutes because high school kids' attention span is terrible, especially now with social media and Xbox and everything like that. So I try to keep it short.
They just want to watch their own highlights too. That's it. That's what I realized with my kids. Yeah. Is like they would, instead of watching film on the other team, they're just watching our previous games and watching themselves.
Exactly. It's like the YouTube Shorts mentality. Let's give me 30 seconds. So I try to keep it short. And then I'll pull them in after they lift on Tuesday, and we're going to go and we're going to watch that. We're going to watch film of us playing that team last year and how they played us in the red zone.
What's interesting is I'm starting to see this grow. A lot of coaches who say, I don't do a playbook anymore. I don't do a playbook. I do a scouting report. We don't get on the board. They do it all in the field because they just feel as times are moving forward, like this generation, it's just not sinking in. Like they're better about if you get them on there, get their attention, get away from their phone, you got them. And so you're seeing a lot of guys moving away from a lot of stuff and just doing a lot of it on the field versus the other things. I think that's interesting. Coach, do you have an offensive goal or target in the red zone?
Yeah.
That you really scout or look at? Like you're saying, hey, in the red zone, if we're achieving this, like we're going to win, or at least we're having success in that area?
Yeah, it's 70. I think it was 75% touchdown in the red zone and 90% scoring. If we do that, we're going to win. So that's our target on a week-to-week basis.
That's interesting. That's the second time that 75% has come up. So I like to hear other people's opinions and good stuff.
I stole it from someone else, so I can't.
Yeah, but we all do. So it's just interesting. But then you go back and you compare it, though. Like you're trying to compare it to like when we lost. Like we have 6, right? And 3 of them are program, and then the big 3 for us are win the rushing battle. It can win the turnover margin. Yep. What's the last explosive plays? So we figured out like if we can win those 3 categories, we win, right? Yep. And we've gone back through a bunch of data personally and in college years, and we've shown our kids, and we teach that, and we build that buy-in. We show them like if we can win these 3 categories on the field together, forget everything else.
Yep.
The statistics that show you that you're going to win. A big one for me changing is thinking about Redzone, listen to some other coaches. So I like that. So, Coach, I appreciate you coming on, man. And I was excited to get you on. I know you've been doing a lot of other people's things. I know you've been on some other podcasts, right? And were you on the Board Drill podcast on some other ones too?
Yeah, I was on Board Drill. Gap Down Backer or some stuff like that.
Yeah.
So it's been fun.
For sure. You get a chance, guys. Check out Coach. Check out some of the other things he's done. I know he talked a little bit about his run shoot offense a little bit more and some of the go routes or choice routes and things. And hopefully everybody got on here and learned a little bit more about the red zone and scoring and what you can do or what you shouldn't be doing or how you could do better. I know the last 2 weeks I've learned a lot. Coach, I appreciate you coming on and wish you a bunch of luck. I'm going to keep following you. You know what I mean? I feel like we pulled another guy in our family and a guy I'm interested in. Thanks for playing that flag for us in Maryland for the first time. I appreciate that.
I love all the information about Maryland. That was good stuff. Even the rules we were talking about beforehand, but we got to start telling our people in Ohio we got it pretty well.
The bigger thing is you got to know where to eat crab cakes when you come out here. That's the thing. Don't go to any old restaurant because when you come out here, if you're that's what I learned with my wife's family being Maryland people is I was like, I had crab cakes here. They're like, oh, you haven't had real. You come out here, hit me up. I'll tell you where to go to get like legit Maryland crab cakes.
We're all staying at Coach's house. He's going to take us for crab cakes. All right, let's go. Let's wrap it up.
1 mile down the road. 1 mile down the road is the West River. I can take you out. We can get crabs.
Easy.
That's awesome.
Thank you, Coach. We appreciate you so much.
Crab cakes. I don't want crab. We just want crab cakes, Coach.
That's why I just laughed. It was like, all right, we're going to wrap him up. But
it's a good one to end on there.
Yeah,
I'm good. I don't want to go get crabs nowhere. I guess I won't be to Maryland.
Crab cakes.
But, hey, we appreciate everybody. Thank you so much for joining us. Make sure you guys contact Fundraising University and Story Rivals. Make sure you get a hold of those guys in First Down Playbook. We just got all our kids signed up on that this week, and it's been smooth. We've been loving it. But we appreciate you, Coach Holzer. Let us know if you need anything. If you're ever in Ohio, hit us up too.
Oh, no doubt. We'll do.
All right. Thank you, guys.